Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe2 Love. Here back at again. Happy St. Patrick's Day or St. Patty's Day, everyone. Here with your AEW Dynamite review for March 16, 2022. A momentous show, a solid show, one that was defined by two top matches on the show. And kind of pretty much expected how it would go. First, MJF, Wardlow, he and Sean Spears, Wardlow, the TNT Championship against Scorpio Sky. And what was a okay match, but kind of expected with Wardlow departing from the Pinnacle, and now it looks like Wardlow will have his feud now with the Pinnacle coming up. So that happened. As well as Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa. It finally happened in San Antonio. Thunder Rosa won a bloody steel cage match versus Britt Baker. I mean, it's hard not to love what the women do in AEW. And it finally happened. We got a new AEW Women's Champion. Go over all that and more in the podcast. But thank you all for joining me. Again, if you're new to podcasts and you want to see more of these reviews, find them on the homepage. Click subscribe. You can find those as well as find when I upload my videos to the channel. But thank you all. Let's get into it, shall we? So the show started off with Adam Cole and ReDRagon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. First Hangman Page and Jurassic Express. Now, I had thought one of two scenarios that if Wardlow and Scorpio Sky had started the show, then Wardlow was going to win the TNT Championship. But it was not the case. Still here, a fire opener with all 6 men involved. And we got Adam Cole and ReDRagon winning here, which I don't really mind that much. I mean, but I can understand the criticism over the finish. So Luchasaurus was being isolated by Bobby Fish, being chopped down from the apron, trying to chop the big man down. He was sent to the ring post. Page got a big tag, hit a powerbomb for a near fall. A big tope by Jungle Boy on the outside. Then a beautiful synchronization where Jungle Boy was on the top rope and Hangman and Luchasaurus were on opposite sides of the post on the apron, and they all hit moonsaults, two in succession. Jungle Boy hit a moonsault, however, in the ring for a near fall. Luchasaurus got into the match. He hit a chokeslam on Fish onto O'Reilly. Hit a double moonsault on both for a near fall. Then another beautiful spot. So Jurassic Express has more recently adopted the Doomsday device into their repertoire. Now here in a trios match, so Hangman Page got the third party or another party in the electric chair position, and Jungle Boy bounced off the top rope and knocked both men down to the mat. A double Doomsday device for a near fall. Then the end of the match came. Jungle Boy was isolated. ReDRagon hit their high-low finisher, and Adam Cole hit the boom to the back of the head for the win. Adam Cole gets another W, and so does ReDRagon. Now, Jungle Boy, the one half of the tag team champions, lost here in this trios match, 8th of fall. But, you know, we see it more often on WWE and Impact where champions lose on TV. However, we don't see it a whole lot on AEW. And Jurassic Express has been built up strong as of late. So, again, I don't mind it as long as it doesn't become a recurring thing. You know, it happens once in a while. But Adam Cole gets a W here and was looking in the face of Adam Page because Page was trying to break up the fall. But a little bit of storytelling there between Adam Cole and Page, and we may very well get a winner takes all match between the six. It's a thought. Or you may just very well get another match between Cole and Page, which I would not mind. Plus, besides, considering the outcome of the Sky Wardlow match, it puts it in a weird position for Hangman. So, yeah, I would not mind another match between these two. And considering what, Jurassic Express and Bob Fish and O'Reilly did the pay-per-view with the Young Bucks, I would not mind we see a match escalate between Jurassic Express and ReDRagon. So then we got Keith Lee and Tintez backstage. So it was announced that Keith Lee will face Max Casser on Rampage Friday, and Ricky Starks and Hobbs just wanted to remind Keith Lee of that beatdown from last week. So they also warned Keith Lee about being on Stark's show, which is Rampage. So a little bit of tension, more escalating between Lee and Tintez. I tell you, Keith Lee for Ricky Starks, Keith Lee for Hobbs, just gonna be money. Just gonna be money. So we got a little bit of a Chris Statlander vignette. She was wiping off some of her makeup, her alien makeup, backstage. Perhaps because it's been a thought in recent weeks, Statlander in this feud with Hirsch, perhaps she's getting a bit more humanized and more serious. So perhaps after that loss on the buy-in, perhaps that's what we see. Because Statlander got screwed out of the match there with Hirsch. So then we got Bryan Danielson and John Moxley versus Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta. And the match was good. Overall, great showing by Wheeler Yuta, but what happened afterwards was really a newsworthy moment. So Yuta, he has splash, counter of a suplex for a German for a near fall. Bryan looked like he was going to stomp Yuta's head in, but said he tagged the Mox, and Mox locked in the Bulldog choke. Yuta tapped out. I tell you, hearing William Regal on commentary, very much a joy. And hearing him talk over the best friends, Danhausen, was hilarious. So, after match, Orange Cassidy, whose arm is still in a sling from that brutal spot in the ladder match on Revolution, hopefully he heals sooner rather than later. So the best friends were distraught. They were going up the ramp, and Will Yuta, he was having second thoughts. He was not following up with the group. So instead, he got into the ring, and William Regal had gotten to the ring with Brian Mox, offered to shake his hand, and William Regal instead gave a big slap to Will Yuta, and Yuta got in the face of Regal, and had some words with Moxley, Regal, and Bryan. So perhaps one of the recruits of Bryan Moxley, maybe Will Yuta. I mean, Will Yuta is young. He's got talent, but you know, pairing him with a group like Bryan Moxley and Regal may just indeed be what takes him a bit over the edge, because the best friends are a good, reliable tag team. You know, they aren't the best tag team in the business. They aren't gonna produce really 4 or 5 star matches, but they are good. But Bryan Moxley can be exactly what helps get Yuta to that next level, I would say. So then we got FTR. They were being asked about the firing of Tully Blanchard, and FTR talked about their respect for Tully and said, when you falter and you lose your job. So then tried in the Young Bucks, and they said, well, how are you going to feel now? No matter what happens, you'll always be the second best tag team in the world. You know, Full Gear 2020, we didn't get the real Young Bucks vs. FTR match that people have craved about for years. And seeing it in front of a live crowd, that would just be awesome. And if that's what's to come, can't wait. Although we're still kind of debating on the Briscoes, but with Tony Khan buying ROH, we'll see. We'll see. So then we got what might be the best segment on the show, the Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho, Jake Hager, Daniel Garcia, Jeff Parker, and Matt Elite. So they all tried out there, and boy, did they look like. I mean, 2.0 looked refreshed. They looked. I don't know what it was. Them and Garcia, they just looked different. They looked renewed. And Matt Lee took the microphone and said, well, if it wasn't for Jericho, if it was up to him, there would be no Judas, there would be no sing along, and that's why Jericho is a better man than him. So Parker took the microphone, praised him. So they introduced Jericho. Jericho mentioned a story about Liam Parker talking about a friend of his, Kevin, asked about these guys trying to get them a job, and well, he did, and here they are in AEW. And said, well, no, if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for Jericho, there would be no AEW. So he said, you're welcome. So he said, and I know this is going to be polarizing. This was polarizing to everybody in the wrestling community. Jericho said he's not a pro wrestler. He's a sports entertainer. And Dan Garcia said, well, he looked like he was going to get in Jericho's face. And he said, well, if you're going to call yourself a sports entertainer, then so am I. So he looked into the camera and said, I'm Daniel Garcia, and I am a sports entertainer. And we know how good Garcia is in the ring, but looking for something to push him over the edge. So Jericho mentioned a story about Garcia, how there was a bunch of wrestlers that suffered a brutal car crash, and one of them fractured his tibia, fibia, and they said he may never walk again or wrestle again. But thus he recovered, and he is there now, Dan Garcia. So he mentioned Jake Hager's past. He and Jake Hager, Hager took the mic, said that we are sports entertainers and we beat up pro wrestlers. So, and Jericho said, mark this date. This is the era of the sports entertainer. And he promises this will be entertaining. And he said, we are the Jericho Appreciation Society. And that's entertainment. You know, WWE has, well, I mean, I know people are gonna sour on this segment because AEW has prided itself on being, and well, it is, a definite pro wrestling company. And WWE has made me hate the term sports entertainer. But we know Jericho got his real big gig in WWE. And of course, 2.0, Jake Hager spent their stints there. And well, look, 2.0, which by the way, Jericho said that it was a bad idea from bad creative. So, but Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, who's called Angelo Parker now, his real name apparently, and Dan Garcia, they were good, but they need something to lift them to that next level. And perhaps this may be the way to go. Because Jericho, 30 years in the business, still looks as good as ever. And, you know, if this group is what's going to get really Lee, Parker, and Garcia over, then I'm for it. The sports entertainment, their top term, I'm gonna have to get a little used to, but nonetheless, this group is money, and we'll see where it goes. But eventual trios champions in AEW, another solid act, and Lee, Parker, and Garcia. So we got Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky. I mentioned this match was okay. You know, Scorpio Sky, you know, is very good in the ring. There's no debate what he can do in the ring. He, Ethan Page, and Dan Lambert have been a solid act for years for their time thus far in AEW. Him, I mean, considering the work he's put in, he deserves this reign as TNT champion. I'm just a little puzzled how they went with Sky over Page. That's my only critique, but nonetheless, this match is okay. You can tell they were behind Wardlow, but MJF, you know, Sky was targeting the ribs of and midsection of Wardlow, but Wardlow fired back with some belly suplexes, tossing Sky around. He had pushed Spinebuster, and then he is finally going for it. The Powerbomb Symphony. He routed 1. He routed 2. He routed 3. But actually, be right back. One moment. My apologies. I stepped away for a sec, but nonetheless, back to the match. So Wardlow hit the Powerbomb Symphony, or hit 3 power bombs, but then when he went for a 4th, Dan Lambert distracted Wardlow, and Sky rolled out to the ring. So, but Wardlow, obviously going on the attack, instead of rolling Sky in the ring, he went for another powerbomb. Out came Shawn Spears, the chairman, and with some chairs, Wardlow was distracted. Was challenging Spears to fight him there, but referee then was distracted by Spears. So Wardlow was going back in the ring, but out came MJF, who shoved Wardlow into the post, and Wardlow was on roller skates, and in the end, Scorpio Sky rolled up Wardlow for the win, and Scorpio Sky retains the TNT Championship. So after that, it was a beatdown by Spears, MJF, and American Top Team. MJF actually paid off Dan Lambert for In Cahoots. So that little thing there. Wardlow did his best to fight him off, but the numbers game was too much. He almost powerbombed MJF, but there's that. Took a big chair shot from Spears, and MJF hit the Dynamite Diamond Ring to Wardlow. There was that. So, yeah, it appears MJF and Wardlow and the Pinnacle are going to have this little feud of themselves. Now, again, this puts the AEW title picture in a bit of a bind, because the consensus was, okay, MJF, or at least what I thought or was hoping, MJF would beat CM Punk at Revolution, and Hangman would beat Cole, which did happen, and then we would get MJF versus Hangman at Double or Nothing. Now it appears two separate directions. Hangman is still feuding with Cole, which I don't mind. MJF now feuding with Wardlow. It's a bit bizarre because, look, both guys are strong. Both guys, are being built up. But seeing one take a big loss right now is a bit strange. Would be a bit strange. That's my only critique, but yeah, we'll see. So also on Dynamite, we got the return of the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, Reuniting in first match in quite a few years. They face off against Private Party, and boy, this felt like a generations collide kind of moment. You know, Private Party really young, Hardy Boys, at the end of their careers, but you know, this was more about Jeff. His first match in AEW, he looked good. Now, Private Party are great. They're really young still, but Jeff looked good and he looked almost refreshed again being there in AEW. Hit Poetry in Motion. Poetry in Motion I had not seen, in a few years. So, bit of a rejoice. Matt was getting beaten down and hot tag to Jeff. He ran roughshod. He had a front face suplex. Went for Swanton, but was dumped on top rope. Managed to hit a second rope splash from their fall. Private Party managed to get the attack, but went for a silly shrink, but countered into a double twist of fate. And then Jeff hit a Swanton bomb for the win. And the Hardys get their first win. And so is Jeff in AEW. Good match. Good showcase for both teams. I liked it. And Jeff did not look out of place. So we got quite a solid edition of Rampage on Friday, which again will be late after the March Madness portion of the basketball tournament happened late Friday night, but got the House of Black versus Bear Country and Fuego del Sol. We got Darby Allin. We got Keith Lee versus Max Casser. Layla Hirsch versus Red Velvet. So some good stuff there. Main event. Now, I don't get how you cannot love AEW's women's division. I don't get how it isn't really deep, but I imagine with some of the free agents coming in that it will just get better and better. But this match, I think it was underwhelming for some, but it was still great. Still a great moment. That escalated, but steel cage match for the women's championship. Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker. So Thunder Rosa looked like a mariachi band, women's mariachi band, was out there playing for her until her music hit. So great little entrance there for in her own new hometown of San Antonio. So there she got great reaction. And you could tell she was amped up. She was ready. So she came out there. Britt Baker came out alone, which you love to see. No Rebel, no Jamie Hayter, just her. And this was good. You know, they were kind of taking it in at first. Big fight feel. You know, Britt, she tried to escape the cage early, but to no avail. Then she was sent face first into the cage by Rosa, who was trying to punch out a cut on Baker's forehead. Her face was grinded into the cage for a bit. So Britt was busted open. Rosa again was using the cage for her advantage, but they were on the outside. And Rosa was sent back first into the cage, which stifled her momentum for a bit. Then, in the commercial break, Rosa was trapped in the ropes, and Britt hit some offense. I'm not sure how Rosa got busted open, but she got busted open. Then Britt introduced a bunch of chairs into the ring. Britt accidentally super kicked the ref back from break. And so the ladies inadvertently knocked the referee to the outside. Rosa hit a Thunder Driver, but the referee wasn't there. So again, another stack of chairs set up in the ring. Rosa was hitting the back with a chair when she was on the top rope. Britt hit an air raid crash off the middle rope on the stack of chairs. But again, no referee. So she called for another ref to be brought in. Aubrey Edwards ran, took a bit, but Britt piled up for a near fall. She got in the face of Aubrey Edwards, and not pretty, not pretty. So Britt set up this kind of stack of chairs, wedge chairs, in the corner. And they were fighting on the top rope. Britt's head was sent to the steel cage. And then she fell on this bridge, kind of wedged bunch of chairs, which didn't look impactful, but had to have sucked. So Rosa piled up for near fall. Britt then got from underneath the ring. Flashback to last year in the lights out match. Britt got up a thing of thumbtacks out from underneath the ring. Spread them out in the middle of the ring. Rosa was sent kind of leg first or back first, kind of onto the tags. Didn't quite get her, but so impactful. So Britt then went for the lockjaw, but Rosa ended up biting the gloved hand of Britt. So then Britt tried to switch sides, went for the other hand, but Rosa slammed her other hand into the tacks. So that was a awareness spot in its own right. So then Britt was powerbombed into the tacks. Then they were on the outside. Britt hit a desperation chair shot, but then they were exchanging in the middle ring. Rosa hit a Fire Thunder driver on Britt for the win, and we have a new AEW Women's Champion, Thunder Rosa, in her adopted hometown, as Excalibur said, San Antonio. Gets a great reaction, gets her moment. New Women's Champion, Thunder Rosa. Now, last year, these two ladies had the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Match of the Year in 2021. This match, I have to look back, but this match, so violent, so it had some good spots, so, just a great moment. Plus, of course, live crowd, last year at St. Patty's Day Slam, these two women did not perform in a live crowd, so that was disappointing, but still was match of the year. And this match here was very entertaining, but a dawn of a new era for the women's division. Britt Baker did everything she could for that women's championship. She became a star in this business. She became a definite star in the wrestling business. Now, time for a new era. Time for Thunder Rosa. And it's going to be interesting. But it's going to be one hell of a ride. But nonetheless, that's how Dynamite went off the air. And good episode. Very good episode of Dynamite. Can't really complain. But solid show. But thank you for joining me again. On Friday's Rampage, it'll be much later due to March Madness NCAA basketball tournament. So, but at the end of the show, or the end of the tournament, is when Rampage will happen. So keep you updated. So, be back here on Saturday for review for Rampage. But thank you all. Be safe. I made you to love. Peace.